We live in an age where there have never been more competition for your attention, and so this can make staying focused on individual tasks really quite challenging.
I became distracted.
So in this video we're going to be going through some key procrastination busting techniques that are backed by popular literature and backed by science.
Procrastinating.
And research has also shown that being a procrastinator can not only lead to increased stress but can also mess with your sleep cycles.
Sleep.
This is really the cheat code for me. One effective way to beat procrastination is by implementing time management techniques. Researchers from the University of Colorado found that individuals who practice time management experience reduced levels of stress and increased feelings of accomplishment. Breaking down larger tasks, and this is from the now habit. And this basically makes individual tasks seem less daunting and therefore more achievable. And a study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology in 2006 found that those people who broke down tasks into smaller ones were more likely to complete those tasks than people who didn't. And use the Pomodoro technique, and this involves breaking down tasks into 25-minute intervals followed by short 5-minute breaks. And I think those small wins can actually help you stay motivated a bit more consistently. Set deadlines for yourself and stick to them. And this is from the procrastination habit. This basically will help make sure you stay on track and avoid putting things off until the last minute.
37 minutes left until the deadline.
Eliminate distractions. This means turning off your phone, closing your email, and finding a quiet place to work as much as possible.
Distraction!
And this is one of the things Cal Newport talks about. This goes back to what we mentioned earlier, that it can take you so long to potentially refocus for something that may be like a really minor distraction, like a push notification coming through on your phone. And a lot of the study's findings basically find that interruptions can have a significant impact on your ability to focus and to complete tasks. And this is because the interruptions disrupt your attention and then make it more difficult to remember where you were before the interruption.
Loud and distracting!
And this basically makes mistakes more likely and tasks take longer to complete. And I think this is something that we just don't talk about enough. A lot of these conversations talk about how long it takes you to do something, and so it doesn't necessarily focus on how well you're doing something. Start small. And this is from the power habit. Don't try and tackle your entire to-do list in one day. Start by working on a small task and then building up from there.
We can start small and build.
And this contrasts with eating the frog, which we'll come to later on. Reward yourself. When you complete a task, just give yourself a small reward, and it helps you to stay more consistently motivated and on track. And this is one of the things they talk about in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Is it a reward?
Visualize success. One of the things they talk about in the mindful path to self-compassion. Imagine yourself completing the task and then feeling good about having completed it.
So visualization technique.
And yes, there is a correlation between visualizing your goals and the likelihood of achieving them. And one study published in the Journal of Psychological Science found that people who visualize themselves achieving their goals were more likely to achieve them though. But the study also found that the visualization was especially effective for difficult goals. And I think one thing that we should be pointing out is each of these kind of remedies to procrastination or to staying focused or to staying productive, their effectiveness overall will vary depending on the task that you're applying it to.
This seems productive.
I think the key thing that you really need to be thinking about is look at the tasks that you've got set out in front of you that you need to get completed, and pick the strategies that we've been talking about that are most suited to that. The strategy that you might choose for revising for an upcoming exam is not necessarily the same as sitting down to write an essay. The one that you would pick for sitting down to write an essay is maybe not the same one that you'd apply for applying for a job or putting together a presentation for work. Make a to-do list, and this is one of the things from the productivity habit. This is a really easy way of making sure you keep track of what you need to do and when you need to do it. Research conducted at the Dominican University of California revealed that individuals who write down their goals are significantly more likely to accomplish them. So grab a pen and paper and jot down your objectives and let them guide your actions. Prioritize your tasks. And this is one of the things that David Allen talks about in Getting Things Done. Decide which are most important and therefore which you should be focusing on first. Another strategy is to prioritize your tasks using something like the Eisenhower matrix. And the Eisenhower matrix is a 2x2 grid divided into 4 quadrants where you plot urgency against importance. Delegate tasks, and this is from the 4-hour work week. If you can delegate tasks to other people, then that basically will free up your time.
Don't shy away from delegating.
Take breaks. Don't work for hours and hours on end without taking a break. Get up, move around, take a few minutes to relax yourself. And this is from Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. And avoid multitasking. And this is from The One Thing by Gary Keller. Multitasking can actually make you less productive, focusing on one task at a time and give it your full attention. There is a study in 2009 published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences which basically aimed to investigate the impact of media multitasking on cognitive control. And the study ultimately concluded that frequent multitasking media users were associated with decreased cognitive control abilities. And I think this study for me really highlights the importance of focusing on one task at a time in order to optimize yourself to complete that task. And again, as we've mentioned earlier, it's about completing the task to a good standard as well as doing it as quickly as possible. And find a mentor, find someone who's overcome procrastination and ask them for advice, how they were able to get over it. One of the things we talked about in one of our previous videos, the 6 things that got me to a 6-figure salary by the time I was 30, was the importance of a mentor. And I think this for me is like just such a cheat code. And see a therapist. And this is from the Procrastination Cure. If you're struggling with procrastination, you may want to see a therapist who can help you identify the root cause of your procrastination and help you develop strategies for overcoming it. Change your mindset. And this is one of the things they talk about in The Power of Positive Thinking.
Right now, that's the mindset that I'm in.
One study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who believed that they were procrastinators were more likely to procrastinate on a task than those who didn't. And another study published in the Journal of Motivation and Emotion found that people who had a growth mindset or belief in their abilities that could be developed were more likely to persist on a task than those who had a fixed mindset or the belief that their abilities were set in stone. So this suggests that kind of changing your overall mindset can be a key in overcoming procrastination.
What I do requires a certain mindset.
And be patient. Overcoming some of these specific tasks can take time and effort, and so you shouldn't necessarily get discouraged if you don't see results immediately. Just keep working at it. Set deadlines. This gives you a specific goal to work towards and helps you avoid putting things off indefinitely.
There is no deadline.
Some tasks are naturally time-stamped. I have to get my car serviced by this date.
5 minutes to deadline, Jonah.
Eliminate distractions. When you're trying to focus on a task, it's important to eliminate as many distractions as possible.
Sorry, I'm distracted.
Turning off your phone, closing your email, and as far as possible, finding a quiet place to work. There are plenty of time tracking apps out there, and you can really use this to try and identify patterns of procrastination. And by gaining an awareness of your habits, you can take proactive steps to make positive changes to help you stay focused for longer.
As you can see, we are procrastinating and distracting others.
And I think one of the key things to really avoid is, the potential for this kind of procrastination doom spiral. You put things off, you feel worse about it. You put things off, you feel worse about it. And I think one of the things that is so often missed from these discussions is making sure that you're picking an appropriate technique for the task you've set in front of you. This is really the cheat code for me, which is making sure you're picking an appropriate technique for staying focused, but also using some of these techniques in tandem with one another. There's nothing to say that you can't be using a visualization technique, but also making sure that you've removed distractions when you work. And another effective strategy is a time blocking system. Research published by the Journal of Applied Psychology found that individuals who plan their days in advance are more likely to accomplish their goals. And by allocating specific time slots for each task, you'll create a structure and eliminate the tendency to put things off. And this is the one that really works for me, so I tend to plan my days out reasonably meticulously.
You got special plans, huh? Big day?
And I also incorporate another time management technique, which I've sort of come up with myself, which I'm going to call minimum time commitment. And what this basically means is that I know that I need to spend between 5 and 10 hours a week filming, editing, scripting YouTube videos. So I make sure that I work that into my timetable overall.
Plan.
I'm not a morning person, so for me, the whole eat the frog mentality doesn't really apply. It takes me an hour or two to really get going in the morning. To really sort of feel as though I've got my energy levels boosted. So trying to tackle the most difficult thing in the middle of the morning is not for me. And so this, I think, is just super, super key. What works for you may not work for someone else. What works for me may not work for you. And so I think really a key thing is going to be to try each of these techniques for a week or two and see how you get on with it.
It tested great.
It tested fine.
Very often we're kind of sold this idea of, if you do this, then everything will be hunky-dory. And actually, I just don't think it's the case. I think being really specific about what works for you is way more important.
This was productive.
Now, I hope you found some of these strategies useful and helpful for reclaiming some of your time and boosting your overall productivity. Stay tuned for more valuable content on the channel. Until next time, stay focused, stay motivated, and take action. Our video coming out next week is going to be about bad boomer financial advice that you definitely shouldn't follow. Subscribe so you don't miss out. And what have we missed? Do you think that there are techniques that we've missed out from this list? How do you stay productive and make sure that you're beating procrastination? Thanks for watching.